Hi everyone, Lauren here from Argus Community, and I'm back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about STI 101. So this is just a basic, brief, general overview of STIs, and I'm specifically going to be talking about bacterial STIs. I'll come back with a part 2, and I'll talk about viral and parasitic STIs, and then also be touching a little bit on HIV. But my colleague has another video, and I'll post a link below, where you can get more information on HIV itself. But today I'm just going to be talking about the bacterial STIs, the most common ones. I'll be talking about the basic anatomy of the male and female reproductive system and prevention and treatment methods for these common STIs. So, what is an STI? An STI is a sexually transmitted infection, more commonly known as an STD, which is a sexually transmitted disease. And the reason for the name change was because a lot of these infections didn't necessarily lead to a disease. So instead of calling them an STD, we now call them an STI because a lot of them are treatable and or curable. What do these infections infect? They infect your pink parts. Yes, your pink parts. What are your pink parts? Your pink parts are your male and your female reproductive organs. So I'm going to put up a little picture and then we're going to go through them real quick. So right now we're looking at the male reproductive organs. So the ones that we're going to focus on are the vas deferens, the urethra, the penis, the epididymis, the testes, scrotum, prostate, anus, rectum, and the seminal vesicle. And now onto the female reproductive parts. We're going to do inner and outer. So we're going to do the outer first. And we have the clitoris, the labia minora, the urethral opening, the labia majora, the vagina, and the anus. And for the inner, we have your ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, endometrium, cervix, vagina, and your vulva. So if you watch college sports, I know you've heard of the Big Ten, but today we're going to talk about the Big Three, and these are the big three common bacterial STIs, which are chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. Okay, so what is chlamydia? Chlamydia is a bacterial infection, and you can contract it through oral, anal, or vaginal sex. And what are the symptoms? Usually for chlamydia, there aren't any symptoms, but if you do present any symptoms, there's going to be pain during peeing, pain during urination, bleeding between your periods, watery or pus-like milky pus from the penis or the vagina. And how is it treated? I'm gonna put a little box up somewhere with the treatment method. So it's usually a prescription of azithromycin or doxycycline, but your healthcare provider will give you the best recommendation for you. Okay, so how would they test to know if you have chlamydia? So usually they would take a urine sample, they would do a urethral swab, a cervical swab, an anal swab, or a throat swab if you were having either anal or oral sex, and your healthcare provider would decide which would be the best course of action. Obviously, if you were having oral sex, they would do an oral swab, but you would have to let your healthcare provider know that that's where you may have contracted the STI. Or if you're having anal sex, then you would also again have to let your healthcare provider know that that's where they would need to do the swab. Some complications of chlamydia would be an ectopic pregnancy, infertility, swollen testicles, swollen and painful testicles, and you also put yourself at risk for contracting other STIs and also HIV. So now on to the next one. The next one I'm going to talk about is gonorrhea. And usually if you're getting tested for gonorrhea, they'll test you for syphilis because they're kind of like brother and sister. They're kind of one in the same. So if you're getting tested for gonorrhea, they usually test you for syphilis as well. What is gonorrhea? Gonorrhea is a bacterial infection. And again, you can get it through oral, anal, or vaginal sex. Okay, so what are the symptoms for gonorrhea? So most women are asymptomatic, but 95% of men do present some symptoms for gonorrhea. And it would be a greenish or yellowish pus coming from the penis, and again, the pain during sex, or pain while urinating, and the same thing for women, spotting in between periods or abnormal discharge from your vagina. So if you present any of these symptoms, make sure that you're visiting any of your healthcare providers to make sure that you're getting tested for these diseases. Fun fact, so the way that they used to test for gonorrhea is that they would clap your penis, and if discharge shot out of it that was either greenish or yellowish, then they would figure that you would have gonorrhea. So thankfully they don't do that anymore. So the way that they test now is through a urine sample, a urethral swab, cervical swab, anal swab, or a throat swab, depending on the method that you were having sex. Okay, so how is gonorrhea treated? So gonorrhea is treated with an oral pill and also a shot. So chlamydia is treated with just an oral pill, but gonorrhea is treated with both a shot and a pill. It's an azithromycin and another shot. I'm not sure what the name is, but I will put a dialog box up with the name. But your healthcare provider would definitely tell you which method, which prescription is the best, which one would be the best for you. So now I know there's a growing concern of gonorrhea becoming resistant to antibiotics, but luckily for us here in the United States, gonorrhea is not resistant to all antibiotics, and that is also why they do the oral pill and also the shot to build, so the gonorrhea does not build up resistance to the antibiotics. So as of right now, we don't have to worry about gonorrhea resistant antibiotics in the United States. So what are some of the complications if gonorrhea is left untreated? So pretty much the same thing as chlamydia. So an ectopic pregnancy, infertility, PID, which is pelvic inflammatory disease, which is just scarring of the fallopian tubes. Okay, so the next and last bacterial infection that I'm going to be talking about is going to be syphilis. So again, syphilis is a bacterial infection. You can get it through oral, anal, or vaginal sex. And with this particular STI, you can pass it along to your baby if you are pregnant. So making sure that you're speaking with your doctor if you do think that you have a sexually transmitted disease, to make sure you get the proper treatment to not spread the STI to your baby. Okay, so the symptoms for syphilis are a little bit different. The first symptom, syphilis comes in stages. So you have the first stage and your second stage. So the first stage is that you're going to get cankers where the entry of where the virus entered into your the bacterial infection entered into your body. So if it was through your vagina, you'll have cankers, which are just painless sores that pop up on your skin. So you'll have them around your vagina, your anus, or your throat. And then after about 3 to 6 weeks, they're going to disappear. But that doesn't mean that you're still not that doesn't mean that you're not still infected with syphilis. Okay, so the second stage of syphilis is that you're going to get painless rashes on either the palms of your hands, the bottom of your feet, your torso, and your heels. Now, the rash itself is not contagious, but you do still have syphilis in your body, and at this stage, the bacteria is very infectious, so you're more likely to pass it on to someone else. So if you see any type of rashes on the palms of your hands or the bottom of your feet, make sure you're going to your healthcare provider to get tested and to get treatment. Okay, so what is the treatment? I'm going to put a little dialog box again of what the recommended treatments are for syphilis. And the long-term effects of syphilis are a little bit different. So for these, you can have damage to your heart, brain, or nervous system. It can lead to death, and again, it could also spread. You're more susceptible to getting other STIs and also HIV. The way that they test for syphilis is through a blood sample. So they'll do a blood test to see if you have syphilis or not. And then to wrap it up, how do you prevent all of these diseases? So the foolproof way of making sure that you don't get any of these STIs is to abstain from sex, is to not have sex at all. If that's not an option for you, making sure that you're using condoms. So there's male, female condoms on the market. There's also dental dams if you're going to be performing oral sex. And if you need somewhere to find condoms, talk to your local health department. I'm pretty sure they'll be able to direct you to some facilities that are offering free condoms. Join me for part 2, where I talk about viral and parasitic STIs. Thank you so much for watching.